We are continuing our multiplication story marathon, and now I have this lovely theater curtains behind me because our classroom is set up so nice. So we'll go ahead and start with 5 times 8. So there was a hive that lived near an army base called Fort E. And Fort E was called Fort E because it was built in the shape of an E. And it was the location where many historic battles had been fought. And so it was a place where lots of visitors came every summer to see all the sights. Well, one day that hive strapped on a pair of skates and started skating down the road as fast as he could, right toward Fort E. The people inside the fort saw him coming, skating so fast, and they were worried that if he got into the fort, the bees buzzing around him might sting them. So they were afraid and they slammed the door shut. And the hive on skates crashed into Fort E. 40. 5 times 8 equals 40. Moving on to 5 times 9. Well, that same hive wondered what was so great about Fort E. He hadn't been able to get into it when he came along on his skates, so he thought he better think of a different way to get in. He looked all around, and near the wall of the fort, there was a sign. He jumped onto the sign, and the sign bent back under his weight and then sprang him forward, making him dive right over the wall of Fort E. So the hive used the sign to do a Fort E dive, 45. 5 times 9 is 45. We are done with our 5s, so it's time to move on to our 6s. So the first one of the 6s that we have not yet done is 6 times 6. Well, there were once 6 chicks, and these chicks hated getting wet, and so they would do anything to avoid a bath. Every time their mother told them to take a bath, they would run and hide, getting even dirtier than they were before. So before long, everyone on the farm had heard about these dirty chicks, and every time they saw them playing in the dirt, they would just shake their heads and say, "Chicks, chicks, dirty chicks." 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7. Well, the mother hen of those chicks she just wanted her chicks to be clean so badly. So she tried to think of a better way, a way to trick them into getting clean. One day she took them to the beach where they watched all the people surfing, and they thought it looked like fun. And their mother pointed out to them, "Do you see there across the water? There's Fort E way over there across the water, and inside of Fort E, they have a zoo. If you would surf over there, you could go and visit the animals at the Fort E Zoo." And the chicks thought that sounded like a great idea. So the chicks went surfing to the Fort E Zoo. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8. Well, when it became time for these chicks' birthday, they had been spending a lot of time at Fort E, and they decided that they loved Fort E so much, they wanted to make their cake look just like it. So they decorated it and put a little flag on the top, just like Fort E had. And these chicks were very creative and always looking for something fun to do to mix things up. So they decided that the way that they would eat their cake was to put on their skates. So the chicks skated around while they ate their cake. So the chicks skated around while eating their Fort E cake. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9. What are the chicks gonna do with the sign? Well, 2 of these chicks love to go fishing. They loved fishing so much. They actually loved fishing more than they loved eating fish. One day they went fishing and they caught so many fish, but they were out really late catching all those fish. And by the time they got home, they were so tired, they just wanted to go to bed. So they just dumped all their fish on the floor and they went upstairs and went straight to bed. The next morning, they came downstairs and they saw those fish all over the floor and it was really stinky. So they decided they'd better clean it up. They looked around for something to clean up with, but they couldn't find anything except a couple of signs. So the chicks used the signs to clean up the fishy floor. 6 times 9 is 54. That's all our stories for today.